Which ones did you see?
I think I just saw the first one.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Old horror films. All right, go.
Okay, here we go.
Four souls will enter. None will emerge.
Oh, hi, Mark.
If you have the balls, tune in for our weekly discussion for movies, and more movies. Movie news and things they watch on their Netflix queue. It's Hanging from the Balcony with Lewis the Professor.
I have literally the smallest muscles a man can have.
Miss Kimberly the Professor.
Shut the fuck up, all of you.
Nathan Betts.
You like that?
And Thomas the Doubter.
How long have you been doing yoga?
You're listening to Hanging from the Balcony.
And record. And welcome to Hanging from the Balcony. Can you hear me? I can't hear me.
Sorry,
You're turning me down.
Wrong knob. I have to fuck up the opening at least one time.
Yay. Okay, well, this is a podcast where we discuss movies and all the movies.
Yay!
Yay, okay. Hooray for movies. I am the professor, and sitting next to me here is Nathan L. Betts.
Hello, here I is.
Who can be found literally at
Nathan L. Betts on the
Twitter. You'll notice that Miss Kimberly and Thomas the Doubter are not here today
for the second week in a row.
Yeah, for the second week in a row because after missing last week, we were like, "You don't get to come next week.
You don't get to come back. You know
punishment.
why? We're so cool, just the two of us."
Yeah, we did such a good job. We don't need you. They'll be back next week because we definitely need them.
We do. Yeah,
we are a sad, sorry bunch.
If nothing else, just to up the sexiness quotient.
That's true, and also Kimberly adds something to the show as well.
Yeah, that's right. Not just
Thomas.
Thomas. Yeah.
Okay, well, we saw some movies this week.
We did. We watched some stuff.
I'll start.
Okay.
Oh, dear Lord. I saw a movie called Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles.
Uh-oh.
Now, am I hooked? It's not as bad as the old live-action movies from the 90s, which are just horrendous. There's nothing about them that's okay. But
except for nostalgia reasons.
Yeah, nostalgia, but if you go back and
Frank
watch
Oz.
them, you'll realize they're bad.
Yeah.
But this new movie maybe is just as bad.
Uh-oh.
Now, I thought I was mistaken on this. I thought it was Michael Bay directed. It's not. It's only produced by Michael Bay.
Oh.
And as I was watching...
How did that get fucked up?
I don't know why they just keep saying Michael Bay.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I just made the assumption he was directing,
I thought
but
so
he's
too,
not.
Yeah.
What I discovered is when a no-name director makes a movie, even if Michael Bay directs it or produces it, it's still better directed than if Michael Bay. This movie's a piece of shit.
Okay.
It's still better than Transformers 4. Transformers 4 is maybe the worst movie of the year. This movie's bad, but I would watch Teenage Ninjas again before that Transformer any day.
I was honestly sitting there thinking the other day, logistically, how he could have two movies in the box office that came out that quickly. And I know, I mean, obviously things could have been filmed like one right after the other.
Right.
But I was still trying to figure out like how could they have done that and gotten two movies? So that would make sense that because he didn't direct that one.
That's it. That's the solution.
Yeah.
So this movie's bad for a number of reasons.
What's the most number one atrocity? Megan Fox?
Well, okay, let's talk about Megan Fox for a second. I don't know if she's an atrocity, but I was surprised how much of this movie, like I would say for the first 40, maybe the whole movie, you could have named this movie April O'Neil and the Ninja Turtles. Okay. Because it's more about Megan Fox than it needs to be by a long shot. The Turtles don't even really show up for like 20 minutes. Ew. You just follow her, and she's like, you know, whatever age Megan Fox is, 25, 29, I don't know. And she's walking around she's a news reporter, and she's complaining like, I shouldn't be doing these stupid fluff stories. I want to do real news. And I'm like, oh, that's a character that I'm interested in. So stupid. And at one point she's like, why'd I even go to college? And I'm like, you didn't.
Yeah.
No one believes you went to college.
Not a chance.
Anyway, so she's boring. And then Will Arnett is her cameraman.
Okay.
And he has a total crush on her. which would be cute if they'd have cast the character with another 30-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, she's 29, get a 32-year-old, it looks fine. But I think Will Arnett is maybe in his late 30s.
Yeah.
He looks 50. I'm sorry. To me, they looked so, like, if you'd have told me he was her father, I'd have been like, sure.
Okay.
So throughout the movie, he's doing this awkward flirting with her, and she's kind of ignoring it, but he's constantly like, "Oh, look at that butt," or whatever. And I just kept going like, "Hey, creepy old guy,
Hey, creeper,
back
knock it off."
The turtles are fine. I don't know. They were just boring. It was all boring. The Shredder was not interesting. He had this huge suit of armor with a zillion knives. And the reason it didn't work, it's like almost like a robot suit of armor.
Okay.
Is you don't pull out like, look at how badass he is now. If we've never seen him before, like,
Sure, we need to see him.
you're supposed to see him
baseline somewhere.
Yeah, just as the basic Shredder and realize he's a badass ninja, and they barely can keep him off. And then at the end, when he shows up in the suit full of crazy knives, you go, well, now they're fucked.
screwed. Yeah.
Right, they barely made it before, and now he's got the cool suit. But they start with the suit, so it doesn't make sense. Location, this is one of those things you should never have to think about when you're watching a movie. I was constantly confused by location. They're in the city, New York, presumably.
Sure.
Driving around. It's a hot, sunny day. As far as I'm concerned, it's July.
Okay.
And then they say, hey, we got to go up to so-and-so's house outside of the city. Cut to driving through a mountain road, 10 feet of snow on either side of the road, and they pull up to his house. And then, Megan Fox goes in and talks to William Fichtner for a few minutes, and then he's like, well, see you later. She's like, okay, I'm heading back to the city. Drive down this snow road, back to the sunny city. It made no sense
really
at all.
weird.
And they do it like back and forth 3 times. And I think the only reason it happened this way is there's a car chase where they end up sliding on a snowy mountain.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it in the preview.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that somebody was just sitting around going, okay, let's think of some cool action scenes. What about if they're like sliding down this mountainside and the turtles are sliding on their shell backs and they're flipping around and doing stuff? That'd be cool. And they're like, okay. And it never occurred to them that, like, if we have snowy scene here, the whole movie has to be winter. Nope.
No, that's okay.
It's just weird.
You
It's
can
just
drive
weird.
1 hour north and get into snow in the middle of summer. Did you know that? Anywhere.
That's the assumption. Like,
Yeah.
I kept going, why is it snowy? Does he live that far out of town? Like, is he up in the mountains of Connecticut or something?
Is he up in the mountains of the high north country?
But then literally they slide down the snow mountain.
Okay.
And they end on a cliff that's like 500 feet high or whatever, which I hear there's a ton of those in New York.
Sure, yeah.
And they're looking down and they look over the edge of the cliff and they go, there's this entrance to the sewer. We just got to climb down this cliff and we can get in the sewer there. And I was like, what New York sewer connects to the base of a 500-foot mountain cliff?
Well, I mean, besides the one that dumps there, but...
Oh, my God. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But, yeah, that's just bad. There's a lot of really weird moments, and it's not very exciting, and the fighting isn't good, and the turtles are uninteresting, and it just at the end left me feeling really bored. Oh, and I will say this, though. It's very kid-friendly. It feels like it's meant for little kids. Not like, well, not 5, but like 10 years old. Like, there were jokes in there where they'd say things like, butts, and you go, oh, okay, that's for a kid,
Sure.
right? So maybe I'm just the wrong audience.
Was Michelangelo obsessed with pizza?
He was obsessed with Megan Fox. He
Aw.
kept hitting on her. He's like, dude, I talked to a girl. She's totally going to be my girlfriend. And I'm like,
That's weird.
why? Yeah, it was weird. It was just all
I mean, the
weird.
mechanics of it's just mind-boggling. Was Donatello a big geek?
Yes, they over-geeked him, though.
Uh-oh.
They put, like, thick glasses on him.
What?
Like, he wears thick glasses. And he's got, like, mechanical, like, cameras and shit connected to his headset. He wears a headset, and he's, like, always hacking into the internet because he's such a nerd. But when he uses his staff and beats someone up, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, Donatello's actually cool. But then they show him being like, hey, guys, I'm going to do some stuff. And he actually has like that voice. And I'm like, why? Why are they doing this?
Was Raphael really pissed off the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, some of the things that... And there's... Oh, God. There's a final battle. Now, throughout the entire movie, no one has said cowabunga. Not once.
What?
We get to the final battle, and Raphael turns to Michelangelo and says, hey, you know that thing you used to say that I told you never to say again? Now's the time to say it. And Michelangelo goes, cowabunga! And I'm like, no one in the movie knows what you're talking about unless they are 30 and watch the cartoon.
Yeah.
You know, like all the 6-year-olds don't know
What
about
that means,
cowabunga.
yeah.
It was weird. It's just there was a lot of weird stuff that I was really confused by. Anyway, pass. Don't see it.
I will maybe Netflix it.
Netflix is the only way to go on this. Do not see it at the Dollar Theater. Don't waste your time. Somehow it's made more money this week than Guardians, although Guardians of the Galaxy was right behind it. Guardians is a much better movie in every way.
I was talking to a coworker, and she said that she saw Guardians of the Galaxy and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and she liked them both. I was like, how did you like them both?
Well, I mean, if you've only... I don't know. I think Guardians is just such a better film. I don't know how you could compare them, but maybe people just don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so don't see that. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I did see a couple other movies. Kimberly had never seen The Iron Giant, so we watched that. And
I love that movie.
it's a good movie.
Love it.
That's a good movie. He is not a gun. I am not a gun. All right. But definitely one to watch. You will cry at the end.
Watch that one.
How do you not cry at the end of that movie?
No idea.
Okay.
I got choked up on it.
I rented a movie called Elite Squad because it was like, you like the Raid Redemption? Watch the Elite Squad. So I watched it, and it's not the Raid Redemption.
That's not that.
It was really weird. It wasn't action-packed. It wasn't exciting. There was a voiceover narration throughout the entire movie, which at first I was like, okay, maybe that's the style thing. I started to realize, oh, they're doing that because this movie's confusing. It's a foreign film. Look at that. Rotten Tomatoes, all 42 critics liked it.
93%. Weird.
It's so not a 93. I guess I'm in the minority there, but I would have given this a 2.
Wow.
Out of
2 out of 5.
Yeah, it's not for me, and it probably isn't for you. I had to get it on DVD, and I'm kind of irritated by how bad it was. It was just shitty. And then the last one we watched, and you can look this up, Journey to the West. Have you heard of this?
I have not. Journey. By the way, while I'm typing this in, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got a whopping... Where'd it go? It was just right there a second ago.
It was pretty low.
I think it got a whopping 14%, 21%.
From the critics?
Yeah.
But look, 60%
by the audience. I don't understand that.
Well, they like it because it's fine. It's not good. It's not the worst movie. Again, Transformers is a terrible movie. This is a solid 2. It deserves a 2. Journey to the West. So now this movie is quite recent. It came out of China. It was made in China, and it
says it's from 2014.
Yeah, 2014. This was, I think, the biggest box office show in China that isn't from America.
Oh, okay.
Right, so this is
self-made.
Yeah, it's a movie by Stephen Chow. I don't know if you've seen any of his other stuff. He did Kung Fu Hustle. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
Kung Fu Hustle's great. This movie, maybe it's a little too long. I think that it probably needs like.
He did Shaolin Soccer, which I also passed on.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Journey to the West, it's on Netflix. Watch now, right now. I challenge anyone to watch the first 10, maybe 15 minutes and not finish this movie. It has the most gripping opening sequence.
Really?
Well, I mean, yeah. There is the story is that demons live in ancient China, and these demon hunters go around and try to capture them and destroy them. And our main character, he is trained trying to be a demon hunter who doesn't kill the demons. He wants to just
capture them.
Well, demons apparently are good people that have been wronged in some way and then died, and they come back for vengeance.
Okay.
And so his goal is to go and help people to understand, help these demons get over their shit and be okay.
Okay.
And it's funny. It's a funny movie. Like, Stephen Chow makes comedies. Kung Fu Hustle, Shaolin Soccer, they're comedies.
Yeah.
But it's kind of good. It really is. It's weird. It's so weird. I can't even tell you, like, some of the shit that goes on in these movies. Look, they think you'll give it 5 stars.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to
Shaolin
try.
Soccer. All right.
What did you try Kung Fu Hustle?
I did not. I'll see if that's available as well.
I love Kung Fu Hustle. It's again weird. He makes really ridiculous weird movies. But yeah, go ahead and watch Journey to the West. Kim and I saw it was a Stephen Chow movie, and we were like, yeah, we like his stuff. Again,
They think I'll give that 5 stars too.
you probably will. Yeah, it's fun though. Journey to the West is a really interesting movie. I again, if you can get past 20 minutes and then turn it off, I'll be stunned.
Okay.
I think after 20 minutes, you'll be like, I have to watch.
I'll take that challenge.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I saw this week. What did you see?
I watched Escape Plan.
Oh,
finally.
okay. The Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone movie.
Yes, I did. It was fine. It's getting to the point now where both of them are so hard to understand. I put subtitles on so I could understand them.
Really?
Yes, I did.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Schwarzenegger just mumbles everything. Or not, sorry, Stallone mumbles so bad. Like, he used to when he was in his prime mumble, and now he's like 60 and doesn't give a shit. And it's just so hard to understand.
I'm good. I got an escape plan.
I found the whole thing to be super fantastical. Just the fact that they're on a ship, like that was the inescapable. I'm like, really?
You know who I kind of liked the film, except for the villain. Jim Caviezel's character to me was all one note. He's just like evil for evil's sake.
Yeah, I had no reason to really want them there, except for he just wanted them there.
Yeah,
he wanted to be better than him, I think, or he wanted to be able to brag that he's got the guy that can escape anything, and he can't escape, and he knows he can't escape. I don't know.
It's such a weird premise.
It is. Well, and the
villain.
I didn't buy how he got out of his cell. I just didn't. That's way too. It's way too. Like the other ones, like how he got out of his first cells and watching it and all that crap. Sure, that's fine. But him going into the hot box or whatever with those bright lights, and he just happened to notice that there's a perfect. There just happens to be an escape plan or an escape hatch right underneath his cell. And all he has to do is figure out how to get these things open, and he fashioned it. Also, how did he know how to make that thing out of broken glasses? The what's it called, where he can get the coordinates? It starts with an S, I think.
I don't know.
Anyway, he breaks some glasses in half and makes a highly sophisticated scientific instrument, or the instrument that he models is a highly sophisticated instrument, and he's able to make it out of broken glasses and cardboard.
And I was like, a stick of gum and some cat hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy it just for the fact that it was an interesting premise, and just, how can you go wrong with 2 seasoned veterans like that? But I still, if I was able to give it a 2.5, I would have. I ended up giving it a 3.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, it was fine. It was a movie.
Did you see anything else?
I did. This was not fine, and this was barely considered a movie. It was Amy's turn to pick, and I tried my damnedest to talk her out of it. I told her it was going to be shit. We watched R.I.P.D. God damn it, can Ryan Reynolds not make a movie anymore? What the fuck happened?
No. Yeah, I didn't see this. It was bad, huh?
It was so bad.
It looked bad.
There is a particular scene where they're driving through, or they're driving past a car park, and these interdimensional holes were opening up for God knows what reason. I didn't even give a shit. But one hole opened right by a car park, and you see this cool, what would have been kind of a cool scene where you see an above shot of a car falling off the top story of like this 5-story car park, and it starts to fall down, and you follow it all the way down to the street. Problem is, it looked like they copied and pasted it, like literally just hit Control-C and Control-V'd it right onto the screen, and you can tell that it's just a matte image over the top of something else, and it was. When I got to that part, that was about halfway through the movie. I was like, "Yeah, you couldn't even tried, like But
do you think they just ran out of budget?
They had to have something. But seriously, it was 5 seconds. It didn't help the movie at all. It could have just ended up on the cutting room floor. But I just got to that part, and I was like, I know this is really petty, but. This is where I'm out. This movie.
Did you stop watching?
No, we finished it, but that's where I was like, phone.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Yeah.
Yep. Still don't care. You
just checked out.
I completely checked out, and I don't know. It seems so petty for that to be the reason why, but basically, I swear to God, he got off of the set of True Grit and was like, I had so much fun doing that weird fucked up. I'll
just keep doing it.
I'm going to just put on this outfit and keep doing. He was literally Rooster Cogburn through the whole thing. It was so bad, and I understand his character was supposed to be from the Old West. Mm-hmm. Fine, that's fine, whatever. Okay, the gal, I just spittled. The gal that is the girlfriend in Red and Red 2, Bruce Willis's girlfriend. Mm-hmm. She's like
Mary Louise Parker.
Yes, she's like the main boss, and there's like this weird. You get the sense that maybe they've dated in the past at some point. You're not sure what point in the past they've dated because he's from like the 1860s. You never get any idea when she's from.
Right.
She looks like a modern woman. He's definitely not a modern dude, and it comes out that they've dated at some point, and you're just like, no,
nope,
don't believe it. Not a chance.
Unnecessary.
Ryan Reynolds was there. He showed up most days, and I don't know what the deal is with him though. He used to be one of my favorites, and I can't hardly watch anything he's in anymore.
Everyone, me included, looks at Ryan Reynolds and thinks, I think he's good. But then every movie you see, you're like, oh, that was bad. That was really bad. He makes bad movies. And then the next one comes out, and you're like, well, let's go and give it a try.
I keep on giving him tries, and the thing that worries me the most is that he's still really pushing to be Deadpool in the actual good version of Deadpool that they're trying to pull off.
We'll see.
I know that he can do like the weird, quirky stuff because of his fast-paced, basically his Van Wilder. He can do.
Sure.
Deadpool is kind of Van Wilder-esque, and he can pull that part of it off. I'm just concerned that he just doesn't act well anymore.
Maybe you can't.
So,
all right, and that was it, right? You didn't see anything else?
Except for a little porn epic that I watched. I am not kidding. That is what I'm going to call this. It is a porn epic. By Lars von Trier, our favorite dude to discuss.
Who did Antichrist and Melancholia?
Yes, which we've discussed on this show before. Sure. Watched both of them as homeworks as well, right?
We did, in fact.
This is his latest offering from last year. It got to be so long that he actually split it right down the middle. And it is 4.5 hours of a movie called Nymphomaniac.
Did you watch both?
I watched them both
back to back.
Yes, and the reason why is because it ends, and you're like, well, I have to figure out how this like.
So it's just like the middle of the
right in the middle of it, and it just
movie.
and it starts rolling credits, and it starts playing scenes from the next movie as the credits roll, and a rock and roll song's playing, and you're like, well. I have to finish it now. I mean, I can't not know what happens. I mean, look what's about to happen. She gets into S&M. Holy shit. So I was watching a little bit of behind the scenes about this movie, and there's an old an older version of the main character and a younger version of the main character. And the younger version of the main character said that she would film her scenes. They drew little black dots all the way up her arm, and then they drew black dots on her arm of the double that she has. But she didn't have a stunt double. She didn't have a body double. Her literal role in the movie was she was her porn double. Anytime that she had to have sex, she had a double for herself.
Who then really had sex.
Who then really, truly, legitimately had sex. She said that the actress that was doing the interview, she said she would show up and do all of her scenes, and then she would always have these black dots up their arms so that they could match their bodies together. And she said that she would film her scenes, and then the whole set would change, and it would turn into an actual, legitimate porn scene with porn protocols and safety, health screenings and the whole shebang. It turned into a porn set. So it is.
So you see actual porn stuff.
You see a blowjob. You see actual penetration a couple of times. One scene with
How
Shia
do they
LaBeouf.
do a blowjob with a stand-in?
That I have no idea.
Or did the actress just do it?
She might have. It was the main gal from Antichrist that did the blowjob scene.
Well, she probably just did it.
She might have just done it. There's two blowjob scenes actually in
Does
this
Shia
movie.
LaBeouf get a blow?
Shia LaBeouf does not get a blow. He has a really his sex scenes are interesting because there's some explaining going on while he's doing it. So there's like some numbers that come up on the screen while he's doing it.
Do you see Shia LaBeouf's wiener?
You do see his Shia LaBeouf dong for a little bit. You see his balls a lot.
A
You see his butt quite a bit. I can't remember. Can you see all the way up Main Street? I can't remember. Anyway,
that makes this. What does that mean? See up Main Street, his butthole.
Right up his butthole. Yeah.
That seems like that's a must-watch now. A Shia LaBeouf ball sack?
Yeah, definite ball sack.
Jesus Christ.
It's a really interesting movie, and it starts to kind of, pardon the pun, it starts to touch on some really interesting subject matter on the whole feelings of love and how it might be a sham, why it might be a sham.
Would you say this movie is just an excuse to show sex, or is the sex actually serving a purpose to the story?
The story is a fucked up story to be telling to begin with. So in its own right and in its own special way, the sex serves the story because the story is so nefarious and fucked up.
Okay. Interesting.
There are a few No, there really isn't any gratuitous moments where it was there just for it's there because
it's her story.
She's telling her story that's already happened, leading up to the point where this guy finds her beaten in an alley.
Okay.
And the dude that finds her in an alley is Skarsgård. What's his name? Alexander Skarsgård.
Yeah.
No, wait, that might be his son.
Peter?
I
don't know.
Sure. The older Skarsgård. And so he starts he's kind of a unique character. I won't spoil why, but he's never really experienced any sex throughout his life, so he doesn't really have any basis on her story. So he starts making these weird correlations with her about how what she's talking about reminds him of fly fishing, or what you're talking about now. That kind of reminds me of this Roman Catholicism, and here's why. And there's some really interesting correlations that are drawn between how we view love, how we view religion. He makes some interesting points while being exceedingly filthy. So there's just for the fact that he's got some pretty deep insights into the human condition and the way we think kind of as human beings a little bit, and how we view love around us and whatnot. It's a really fascinating way to go about it. It's a fucked up way to go about it, but he makes some really interesting points throughout it.
One thing that maybe, because our movies don't deal with sex unless they're pornography, maybe he's making an interesting point that we need to hear, which is that the human experience includes explicit sex.
Yes, it does.
When people get married and stuff, they don't just go, "Yay, we're married," and walk off into the sunset. They then go home.
The sunset sets, and then they go and do it.
They do it, and it's explicit, and it's sometimes awkward or uncomfortable, and sometimes it's great and whatever else. But movies examine every aspect of life except that.
Yeah, and
whenever it's sex, it's either really super sexy kind of montage where you don't see anything real. You see like hands clutching each other. You never just see.
And honestly, in this movie, there's probably maybe 3 times a total of maybe 2 to 4 minutes where you see.
Yeah.
A lot of it's alluding to, or you see the start of, or you see them finishing up, or you see them right in the middle of whatever's going on, and then it cuts. There's really not a lot of, and I think it might, just to keep it from being an actual full-on pornographic flick, he is using it as much as he can, but still wants it to be in aid to the story. Yeah. So
all right.
It's 4.5 hours long. Each section is 2 hours plus. So, am I
gonna be uncomfortable watching this with Kimberly?
How does she view pornography?
Not.
She doesn't. No, I mean, point of view. What's her point of view on pornography?
She doesn't care for it. But then again, she watched Antichrist and was really cool with it. I mean, she's got a very mature outlook. She doesn't like it when it's gratuitous.
She will be okay with it then.
Yeah,
I think she'll be okay with it then. Yeah, it's because I honestly can't think of a point in time where it's not serving the story.
Okay, I'm excited to see how she handles it.
I'm curious to see how she handles it too.
I'm excited to see how I handle it.
I'm curious to see what you think of it too.
All right,
honestly.
Super. Well, let's get to some news. Do we have any news?
Not so much news this week as we do. We do have one piece of news, and then we have 2 trailers to check out if we would like. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Just 1 trailer to check out if we would like.
Okay, so the piece of news.
We've got Batman versus Superman news. They've determined that Marvel Studios' Captain America 3 will be releasing on the release date that they originally started, or
which was
aiming for May
6th
of 2016. So now we have that exciting news because I knew that obviously there was going to be a 3, but we didn't really know when it was. Spoilers, here it comes. We know that Captain America 3 will be on May 6th. So now we get this a whole month and a half early on March 25th instead.
Batman versus Superman.
Batman versus Superman. Now,
Dawn of Justice.
This is starting to become one of those things where I'm like,
they've already moved it once.
Yeah, I thought they did. I thought this was
the second move.
So this is almost to the point now where it's becoming a spectacle. Like I feel like this is going to be less about the movie itself, and it's kind of become about the lead up to it. Like there's a lot of speculation going on around this movie, and it's going to be hard to not go see this, but I'm still really concerned it's going to be terrible.
I'm going to see it. Dawn of Justice, meaning that they're leading up to the Justice League movie.
Right.
They'll follow it up with like an Aquaman movie and a Wonder Woman movie, and they're going to maybe even a new Batman. Who knows?
Do you think we'll get a Christian? Or do you think we'll get a Ben Affleck Batman all
probably standalone? Eventually, probably not right out
pushed
of the
out.
gate. Yeah,
maybe next decade.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. It's too much pressure. I feel like
they really put themselves into a pressure cooker on this.
The reason Marvel, talk about this for a second. The reason Marvel, I think, succeeded is they started out with Iron Man, which was a piece of shit comic that no one cared about, and a character that just wasn't. And they said, here you go make this movie. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Who knows? And then it did well because it was a good movie.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I really do like that first one.
The first one's
still
great.
My favorite.
And then they made, they made Thor and Captain America, 2 more characters that no one gave a shit about. They're just piece of crap characters.
I almost didn't watch Captain America at all.
I know, right? And the movies were okay. Thor 1 and Captain America 1 are just both right?
They're there. They're serving the purpose that they're serving, though.
But if Thor hadn't hit, if Thor had done a little worse or a little better, it wouldn't have changed things.
No, not for Avengers.
And if you go back and look at Thor and Captain America, they didn't do that well. They did okay. They made like 150 million or whatever. I don't remember what they ended up totally.
Better than the Turtles.
Maybe not. I think Turtles probably are doing better than those original ones. But they didn't put their whole life on it. Like if it was shitty, it wasn't going to ruin it. I feel like if Batman versus Superman crashes and burns,
which it feels like it could
It
at this
very well
point.
could. Then they might just be like, I guess we don't make movies, and just scrap the whole thing. And they really need to just go smaller.
Yes.
Instead of the two biggest characters they have, they need to go and make,
So on that logic, they should have come out with the Aquaman and the Wonder Woman first.
I think so.
Yeah.
If I'm in charge, and I'm sure they really care what my opinion is.
Sure.
But make Aquaman, make Wonder Woman, make. Well, they did Green Lantern, and that crashed and burned. But make a few movies
and throw in throw in an offhanded one that doesn't have anything to do with it. Like get the Doctor Strange one out there first, and then address this.
And the thing is, DC's actually doing cool stuff on TV. I think Arrow is really good. I'm excited for Flash. I think Constantine looks amazing. I'm so excited for it.
Now, how did that happen? Because Marvel is not doing amazing things on TV.
Yet, but they have high hopes because Netflix will be releasing 4 Marvel TV shows, and I'm excited about
everything Netflix has touched so far has gone really well.
Good, right?
Netflix their documentaries, their all of it, everything they've done.
Good stuff.
So, did you know that Netflix original? They even released an anime series.
No, I didn't.
I cannot remember what it's called now, but as soon as I have a moment to search for it, I'll let you know. I think they have 1 season of it so far, but so yeah, they've tried everything, a little bit of everything, a little bit.
Well, good for Netflix.
I understand
they're going to
drama.
Do you hear there's a new Arrested Development series?
Season 5, right?
Being produced, and their Community's being done for like PlayStation Network.
It got picked up by Yahoo, which shows up on PlayStation,
which is crazy.
So I think that's the.
I love it though.
That's the kind of the new. I honestly think that's the new thing. We're going to start seeing that more and more.
Yeah, I think so too. If you're a good show and you don't have a huge audience for NBC, maybe it'll work in.
It'll work out online.
There is one other piece of news that we'll come to after Homework. In fact, so let's talk about Homework, and then we'll talk about some sad news.
Okay.
I assigned 12 Angry Men. Did you watch it?
I did. I had to think for a second. I've seen so many movies over the last couple of weeks. Yes, I did.
Yeah, what'd you think? This is the one where in the courtroom where they're in the back
debating. Deliberating.
And it's just all in that room.
I was just going to say, I counted. There's 4, maybe 5 different scenes. So this had to be an extremely cheap movie to make, right?
Yeah, based on a play. Could you guess?
Yeah, because they don't go anywhere.
It's all talking in a room.
I actually was able to enjoy it for what it was. Definitely not my cup of tea. Definitely not something I would have sought out and picked for myself. But knowing that it's something that I needed to see, just to be a well-rounded movie aficionado or whatever, a movie appreciator, I actually really ended up enjoying it. I couldn't give it 3.5 stars, and I didn't feel like my taste deserved 4, so I think I ended up giving it 3.
Yeah.
But
fair.
But I did find it. I found it interesting for not ever leaving that room except for the very opening scene. I thought it held my interest the whole time. And when it started, I was like, how the hell are they going to debate a murder case and keep me interested the whole time? And then it started to unwind and unwind and unwind. I'm like, well, I guess there's that way. That worked.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Henry Fonda.
Henry Fonda.
He's great. I could see why he was America's darling for a while. He's really charming, a really charming dude. And he's so, I don't know what other word to use other than stark. He's so stark looking. He's
slender, isn't he?
Yeah, he's so
very
skinny, and his eyes are always so bulgy.
Yeah. Oh, Henry Fonda.
But he's great. He's a really great actor. I can see why everybody really liked him.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that I think everybody probably needs to see. It's not necessarily going to be one you watch over and over again. Although I've seen it, I think 3 times now, and for me, it becomes, I kind of like it better each time because I start to watch other things. The first time you watch it, you really are just paying attention to the murder mystery and
figuring out what's happening.
And this, the more I watch it, the more I'm paying attention to the other jurors. I really like Jack Klugman. He's the one that
wants to get to the baseball game.
No, Jack Klugman's the one. That's Jack Warden, who wants to get to the baseball game. He's interesting too.
Yeah, he's
but
good.
Klugman was the kid that was like, yeah, I came from a crappy neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, like he was just kind of quiet and he didn't have a lot of lines, but it was really interesting for me to see him. And I love the angry guys.
The angry
the
guys
ones
are
that
great.
Are so mad.
I liked the foreign guy. The foreign guy who had some really interesting points, kind of on like how to be a decent human being, basically. And
when we got to the end, and you know, you have your big ending, I turned to Kim and I'm like, I'm not sure the right thing happened.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that it was.
I don't know
I think Henry Fonda talked him out of what they should have done.
Yeah, they probably should have done something, and I think Henry Fonda talked everyone, including us in the audience, out of it. But like after 3 times watching it, I'm looking at the evidence and I'm like, still,
yeah,
you know, like what? Who else would have done this bad thing? Like, because it's a murder trial.
Yeah,
and you know, I get to the end and I'm like, okay, so Henry Fonda came up with why this probably didn't happen, why there's reasonable doubt, but who else?
Who else could have?
Yeah, why else would anyone else have done this?
Yeah.
It seems just a little too specific, you know. So like at the end, even though we're all like, "Yay!" I'm still kind of, and I like that. I like that because I talked about that with Kim. I'm like, I'm not sure the right people won, and she's like, yeah, but the point is not whether or not somebody's actually guilty; it's whether or not they've been proven guilty.
Right.
And it's a really interesting point because you kind of have to
fine line, yeah.
Yeah, you have to deal with the idea of if someone isn't proven guilty, but you know he's fucking guilty. It's 95%. There's a shadow of a doubt though. Do you still vote not guilty? Because you know, like it's an interesting question.
It was interesting how it was like an open and closed thing, and he turned
Everything
11 around to. Yeah, not guilty.
And he even says at the beginning that he's not sure himself. He just has some doubt. Okay.
Good movie.
It's okay.
Probably should watch it.
Yeah, you need to probably just for your historical, like I've seen
just
some
for
movies.
Henry Fonda, honestly, if nothing else.
So let's get into our sad news, and in doing that, you can also give us our homework for next week.
As the whole entire world knows and knew 3 weeks before filming this show, we lost an iconic American idol of film proportion. We did lose at the age of 63, I believe it was. We lost Robin Williams to a very unfortunate circumstance where he was battling depression, and now it's come out that he may have found out that he was in the early stages of Parkinson's disease.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So, and I don't know if that just built on top of that. And I have mixed feelings on suicide itself, just for my own personal beliefs and whatnot. I honestly think it's the most despicable and chicken shit thing a person can do to an entire family, community, whatever. That being said, when you're in the throes of what he might have been dealing with, pardon me, it's probably not the best idea to leave somebody that's in that state of mind to their own devices. Maybe he should be just, constantly hung out with for a while until everybody knew he was okay. Whatever the circumstances is and what your beliefs are or whatever, that doesn't change the fact that he was an iconic, if not legendary, I'll go ahead and say legendary film actor that we will never see the likes of probably again, honestly.
Yeah. Suicide's a tough thing because it's shitty for everyone you leave behind.
Yeah.
But people who are seriously depressed and see no way out, I mean, I can't judge that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard though that when you watch a Robin Williams movie now, because he did all those comedies, we're always going to be thinking about, oh yeah, remember when he checked out?
Right.
That's going to be rough, and it's shitty for his family and for the world.
And it's a shitty way. It's a shitty way to. It's a shitty way to end such a legacy. Instead of the legacy just being like, oh yeah, remember when he was so awesome, and then he got what if in fact Parkinson's was what he got. Remember he teamed up with Michael J. Fox, and then he just kind of declined, and then what awesome. Now we just have he killed himself. So that's kind of a tarnishes, for me, it tarnishes it a little bit, but it does not diminish it by any means.
Well, one thing that is always true is comedians all have a dark side.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And,
yes. And I think
so-
that's what makes them so brilliant, honestly.
Yeah. So when a comedian is revealed to suffer from depression,
Usually not
no
a surprise,
at all.
Well, and the thing about that is that back in 2010, a really famous and popular podcaster named Mark Maron interviewed him.
Sure.
In a really, really rare interview, in the fact that every time he goes on and gets interviewed, he's always putting on a show for everybody.
Right.
And you can't really get to...
But Mark Maron's, I've listened to his podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't hear this particular one, but he gets people to talk very seriously about their lives and stuff.
He slips into like a caricature or a character maybe twice or 3 times, but you get an hour-long interview of actual Robin Williams, like the Robin Williams.
Right.
And it's really rare because every time you go and see him interviewed anywhere, he just opens his mouth and whatever character he's thinking of at the time just starts coming out of his face, and you're instantly behind the 8 ball trying to keep up with him. Where this one, he was really calm, and he's talking like he was an NPR host for a while, for the whole time. And
I'll have to go find that.
I actually have it. I can get a copy of it for you. It's really fascinating to listen to, but it's also really hard to listen to because he talks about, and this is back 4 years ago now. And they actually touch on depression, and he makes some jokes about killing himself a little bit, but not in the way that you would think. He's making jokes about, he kind of basically goes into like, well, okay, everything. So this is what you got going on now, or and he's, this is the one time he kind of slips into a character a little bit, but it's a really calm, relaxed character. He's kind of pretending to be his own therapist. He's like, okay, so we got this over here, and now we're going to be talking about next on the list is suicide. Are we really going to go through with that? Is that what's going to happen? Well, you got this brand new girlfriend, yeah, so maybe not. Also, you're not really working right at the moment. But you got some things on the horizon, so maybe we'll put suicide over here on the side. And he's making some really
sounds like
in the light of it, it's something that he's been thinking about,
dealt with for a long time.
It's been on his mind.
There are 2 types of suicide attempters, or from my understanding, and it's those who have a momentary time of feeling like they need to, and if you can stop them for like 10 minutes, if you can keep them from doing something,
they'll never do it again.
Yeah. But then there's those that it keeps
constant
being there,
struggle,
and there's no stopping it.
Yeah.
Those people will eventually commit suicide, always.
Yeah.
Because they're just done. And it's easy to say suicide is bullshit and everything else, but I want you to imagine being sick, like physically ill, like you feel like you're gonna vomit, your head is just aching.
Yeah.
You barely can move, you can't handle any loud noises or bright lights, you just feel shitty.
Yes.
And we've all been there.
Yes.
Now imagine feeling that way every day for a week.
Okay.
Now imagine feeling that way every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah, this is my new normal.
There is a point where you would say, I would rather not be than be like this.
Yeah.
And I know that physical illness and depression aren't the same thing, but I have to imagine that there's
got to be a correlation.
That sense where you're just like, nothing is better than what I'm doing now. You know? Like,
and I've actually heard it.
Nothingness.
I've also heard it described as almost a physical ache that constantly plagues you. That says that basically you're like, okay, if I could just make it stop, I'll be okay. But the only way I can make it stop is to stop being.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it is physical. This is a chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
This is something where your chemicals aren't working right. And we don't always recognize that sometimes your chemicals don't work right. And when they don't, it's the same thing as being nauseous or. So, okay, so what are we going to watch to commemorate the life of Robin Williams?
In light of that,
the career of Robin Williams.
I was going through Netflix and I wanted to select a Robin Williams film in light of just to kind of celebrate who he was and whatnot. And one thing that I noticed was available on Netflix was something I never even heard of before, but I read the synopsis of it and I was fascinated by it. It's called, is it just called Fisher King or the Fisher King?
I think it's the Fisher King.
The Fisher King. It's got Jeff Bridges before he's Rooster Cogburn permanently, and Robin Williams. And it's I don't think it's a comedy either. I think it's actually one of.
It's not. There may be. I've seen this movie, and I'm like 20 years ago, so I'm excited to watch it again. There are a few jokes, a few humorous moments,
but it's pretty serious.
Well, Robin Williams plays kind of a schizophrenic type, or you're not sure if he's schizophrenic or not, but he has visions.
Yeah. Okay. And then
he's a homeless guy.
And then someone's Jeff Bridges is the shock jock, because I got that mixed up.
Jeff Bridges is a radio. Is it Jeff Bridges? Maybe I'm backwards on that.
Hold on,
Who's the shock jock? Yeah, I've gotten it.
We got a description of it right here.
I think you might be right. Maybe Robin Williams was the shock jock.
Sure.
So okay, one of them's a DJ, a radio announcer, and he says some things that cause a person to commit suicide.
After inadvertently inspiring a listener's murderous rampage, pompous shock jock Jack Lucas starts spending time with Perry, a dotty vagrant whose wife was killed in the carnage in an attempt to redeem himself. So I guess I don't really know who is who.
Yeah, maybe you got to IMDb it. But, yeah, one of them's a radio guy who says some things on the radio that cause somebody to,
go crazy,
be killed, and
through with
and then in an attempt to kind of redeem himself because he feels guilty for what he's done, he starts talking to the other one, who's this homeless guy who sees things, and it's kind of a King Arthur story in a weird way, like a modern day King Arthur.
Okay,
the Fisher King is actually directly related. That's you'll see, like on the cover, there's a Grail. The Fisher King has to do with King Arthur.
Okay.
So yeah, go down.
Jeff Bridges is Jack.
Yeah, that's our shock jock then.
And
because Robin Williams would have to be Perry. It looks like it's order of appearance.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So you'll have to just keep going down and see full cast. Yeah, tell me what you think. This is a Terry Gilliam movie, and Gilliam is one of the directors who I tend to love. He did Brazil, which is one of my top 5 movies of all time. He did Time Bandits, which I think is wonderful. He did Munchausen, which I like and everyone else hates.
Yeah.
He has made a few just turds. He did 12 Monkeys, you've seen. He did...
Oh, yeah. 12 Monkeys was good.
12 Monkeys is good. He did... oh, shit. What's it called? The Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
He directed that?
Terry Gilliam.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. How did I not know that? Time Bandits has very Monty Python-esque artwork for the cover.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Have you seen it?
I have not. I'm adding it to my queue right now.
You haven't seen Time Bandits? That movie's awesome. I saw it as a kid. It's a children's movie. I saw it as a kid, and it fucked me up. Turned me into who I am today. It is.
Well, I'm excited.
Whoa, I did that. It is not. I don't know how it's a kid's movie.
I'm excited to see that then. It's got it in family sci-fi and family adventures. Yeah. Children's and family. Yeah.
It's so weird. The story of Time Bandits is a young boy is sleeping in his room when suddenly 6 little people climb out of his wardrobe, and they say, "We're looking for a portal in your room here to get away." And so they find it, and the kid goes with them, and they start jumping through time, but they're being chased. These 6 bandits and the boy are being chased through time by God.
Oh, good.
Because they stole the map of the universe from God, and they found all the little holes that let you move through time.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're time bandits, and they just go through time stealing things.
Fun.
They mess with Napoleon and Robin Hood and...
Right on. I'll have to check that out.
It's a weird movie, though. I gotta warn you.
It's got Sean Connery in it.
Yeah, he's back in ancient Greece.
Nice. It's got a couple of the Python guys. John Cleese
does the best Robin Hood you've ever seen. His Robin Hood is so funny.
Isn't Michael Palin?
Yeah, Michael Palin is a Python.
Ian Holm is a Python, right?
No, Ian Holm is a British actor. He was in Alien. He played Ash.
Okay.
He's great. He plays Napoleon. David Warner is the devil who is trying to get hold of the map of the universe so he can escape from the Tower of Ultimate Destruction and destroy the universe.
Awesome. I can't wait to get that. I'll have to move that towards the top of my queue. I really want to see that.
It's a really fun movie. I've seen it about 40 times.
Awesome.
It's one of those that I just really like.
Yeah.
It's weird, though. I got to warn you. It's an old early 80s movie.
Yeah, this is from 1981. And the homework for this week is from
Fisher King is
1991.
91.
So be watching that for me on my request, and
yes.
I think we've gone ahead and touched on about everything that we're going to touch on.
I
for
agree.
This week.
I think it's about time to head out. So thank you everyone for listening in and listening to us discuss movies. Next week we expect Kimberly and Thomas
cast
to be back. Until then, you'll need to check us out on our various web spaces. Hanging from the Balcony is part of the Time Spent Poorly network. So go to timespentpoorly.com, go to YouTube, go to Twitter and Twitch and Stitter and Flitter and Mitter.
All of those
and
things.
Poops.
Yes. And find us on iTunes.
iTunes and Facebooks and like us everywhere, and then actually listen to our podcast.
Yes. And all of our other ones too.
And all of them, not just Hanging from the Balcony. There's what other ones are available.
We also have one called the Rosewater Kinetics Fitness Hour, where we've started talking about fitness and woodworking and all the things that go into.
Are you ready to make me some woodworking tools?
I will. Yeah. If you're interested, I can make you something.
I got like $80.
Awesome. I can make you something. And then. We also have my other podcast that I do with Derek Young called the Time Spent Poorly Podcast, and we've been on a little bit of a hiatus from that for about 3 weeks because Derek's been getting ready to open a comic book store, and that will be coming up soon.
Go buy your comics if you live in Lewiston.
Yeah, if you live in Lewiston, get them from Derek. Don't go to those other guys up in Orchards, Hastings.
Yeah, you know what? You can't buy comics from Hastings.
No.
You got to have a comic book guy who holds them.
You got to have a guy. Yeah.
You got to have a guy. Okay. So, check that out, too.
Absolutely.
And until next week, keep watching movies and have a wonderful movie night.
Bye-bye, folks.
Bye.